Well, first, we need to have a data privacy bill uh, get passed in Congress, and that's been said now for 30 years, but it's no more urgent than it is today because this is sort of a bedrock or foundational set of regulations that we would need for the next step in regulating AI. And I think there's some promise based on the bill that has been contemplated by Senator Cantwell and then her House equivalent. She's the chair of the Commerce Committee in the Senate, and then the equivalent chair of the House Commerce Committee. They seem to have a bipartisan um, plan for a bill cooked up, and I've seen the outlines as those have been made public, and I think that's a good place to start. Secondly, we need to have a federal mandate for watermarking on AI-generated images. And I think that some basic steps around transparency that would include watermarking would be imperative for the federal government to move forward with. And I say federal because what we're seeing now is a host of different states, including California, jumping in with their own ideas, and many of those are well-intentioned. But if what we end up with is a thicket of 50 different state regulations for companies to have to navigate, we will be putting American innovation at a great disadvantage relative to our competitors. And some of those competitors are not always well-meaning. So I think it's important for us to have a single uniform federal standard. In addition to watermarking, there are probably some prohibitions I would consider. For example, we know how nudification sites, sexualized sites are being used now. I think David Chu led a investigation out of San Francisco in the city attorney's office in his lawsuit and identified 16 different sites that are using Gen AI to nudify and sexualize images of living people. And obviously those are being used for lots of harmful purposes. And where there's no redeeming value in such efforts, then I think it is proper and within the First Amendment to be able to say those are prohibited. And then finally, I think it's critical for us to upgrade and update a lot of existing federal statutes that prohibit a lot of criminal conduct, such as fraud. I mean, look at the wire fraud statute, for example, and ensure that the conduct is fully captured for civil and criminal liability within those statutes. And so really what I'm getting at is making sure we're focusing on the outcomes and regulating the outcomes we don't want and ensuring there's clear civil and criminal prohibitions there rather than getting Congress into the business of regulating software code, which we know it's not going to be good at.